everyone, and welcome back to another Barely Art Live. I'm here by myself today, but no worries. Excuse me. We've got a really cute card for you guys to look at and to download on our website, barely.art. But before we get into our crafts, I'll go over a couple announcements. Let's see. If you guys were watching our live last week, you'll remember we had tons of influencers coming and making wonderful crafts, which are still all around me. If you want to get those files, you can check them out on our website, barely.art, and check out our SVGs. It's under, I believe, XOXO Barely Art Live. So if you want those, there's 5 different files, or 5 different crafts in that one download. So check that out. It is free, along with all our other SVGs, including the one we're using today. But next week, we also have some very exciting things going on. We've got the cardathon for Cards for Cubs. We will be at the downtown Arlington Library making a lot of cards in person, and we'll also have a live going on. And you definitely want to check those out because we are supporting this great cause. Cards for Cubs is all about sending and making handmade cards to kids and young adults in foster care. It's definitely a wonderful thing to be part of. I've enjoyed it the last, I think, 2 years. I think this is my second official year being part of the cardathon, so I'm really excited. And it's also for probably the next, let's see, all of March, we'll be doing lives. It will be card related. So if you have some card making friends out there, send them our way. Tell them to watch our lives, to be part of Cards for Cubs. And you can check out more information on the cardsforcubs.org website. There you can register for your card to send in cards, and that will involve like how we track the number that's sent in. So you definitely register those cards and be part of this really awesome event. Also this weekend is the Card Maker Success Summit, which is helping Barely Art support Cards for Cubs. And that's going to be really fun. Me and Jeremy will be on that one for, let's see, I think it's at 12:20 on the 26th. So that's next Sunday. We'll be on with Brandy. We've been part of Card Maker Success Summit before, and it's always been a really great event. So also if you have friends that are card makers, you can check that out. You can get the free tickets on our Instagram bio. You can go in there and you can see the free tickets for the Card Maker Success Summit. And if you upgrade through our link on the to a VIP ticket, we will get a proceed from that, and that will go to Cards for Cubs and help us. All that money goes to Cards for Cubs to help ship out those cards to foster agencies across the nation. So be part of those. We'd be really honored if you joined us in this fun and caring event. And without further ado, I think we'll go ahead and get to this card. But let's see. So today I'm making the amazing card. It's free download on our website. So I'll be honest, I'm not necessarily, I would consider myself a card maker. I'm still working on my skills, but I'm more of a Cricut user, and it seems that, sometimes those roads cross, including this card. So we have a few different downloads for cards on our website. This one I really like. I like the colors. Of course, you make them different colors, but I like the pastel. And then there's also I think there's one with an otter, and my mom would love that one. She loves otters. But so let me see. For this card, you're going to need, of course, the file, your papers, and then I'm also using our cards and envelopes package, Barely Art, and then also I'm going to use some cubies, just a very little of them. So, but you'll see, it's a little bit tricky for this one, I will say, because of the double layers. But I had to play around with it, but I'm using cubies, cards and envelopes, of course, Barely Art glue. And I'm also going to try and be a little bit more of a card maker today and use I think it's an embossing folder is what this is called, which is really cool. I really like these. I just don't ever use them in my normal crafts. I know some people do. I just haven't really yet. I've just gotten to the level of working in textured paper. So I really enjoy being able to kind of change up any color paper that I have, or any style, with something that just adds the embossing effect to it. And I'll also be using just some plain old scissors, a Spellbinders, I'm not sure what it's called, but the rolly thing that helps me emboss things. Let me also open my comments. I only have the Instagram comments on right now, so if you guys have any questions on Facebook, YouTube, please send those to Instagram, or message us and we'll get back to you eventually. Don't worry. And then we also have, I'm also using the, just like my slicer here, just to cut some paper. And I've got copy paper, and I've been using 65-pound cardstock. So, boop. All right, cool. So let's get started. Let me see the comments, see who's on. Carolina's Creations, hello. Sophie's Corner Crafts, hi. And my mom is on. Hi, Mom. Okay, so let me put these things aside here. I'm going to leave this little piece of paper here. It has the cardsforcups.org, the nonprofit website. So I'm just going to leave it in the corner so you guys want to check that out. It is there to view. And then I'm going to show you guys the pieces I have today. So the file comes with this heart, this circle, and then these thinner strips, pink, white, and I got a very thin white, and then 2 maze pieces, and also a white background. The file actually also does come with a card that you can make out of cardstock, but since we have the cards and envelopes, and I'm sure a lot of you card makers already have your blanks, I went ahead and just used this. I used our pink one. Our cards come in a variety of colors. I really like the light colors are my favorite, like the light green, the light blue, and the light pink are my favorite, but there's some other really bold colors in there that are really cool to use as well. Okay. Let me make sure I'm loading my comments. Okie dokie. I'm going to go ahead and put these pieces aside for a moment. And then I'm going to go ahead and glue down this, the first maze. So there's 2 maze pieces right here. They lay right on top of each other. This second one gives it kind of an outline too. There are kind of 2 techniques you could do this card with, but I will say that I found using the cubies easier. You can glue it, but we'll get to that in a little bit. But first, I'm going to go ahead and glue this one down. So I tested it out already, and I definitely would suggest gluing, like very much covering this here, because once you add the maze, if these pieces are kind of not all the way stuck down, it can kind of cause some problems with the heart, which is what gets moved around the maze. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure lots of coverage here with my Barely Art glue. And then also, of course, I want to know while I'm doing this, since I'm all by myself, you guys have to talk to me in the comments. Don't leave me here alone, and tell me where you guys are crafting from today, and also tell me if you guys want to be part of Cards for Cubs. We would really appreciate that, and we're really excited about that. If you have any questions about this, let me know, and I can answer them to the best of my abilities. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm working more on an outline sort of thing here. This one I do want, again, stuck all the way down. I tried it not sticking it all the way down, and it did give me a lot of trouble. So if I'm honest, I struggled to find the right technique. I didn't think it would be necessarily very difficult. I thought it was like a glue, dun, ta-da, you have a card. But I did have some trouble with it. And again, we'll get kind of more into that in a little while. So I'm just going to go ahead and lines, dots, and then I'll go ahead and go all the way around. It's really just the maze part you need to put more glue on. The rest of it can be just outlined. I'm going to put a big heart. Custom Paper Decor says, hi, hello, how are you doing? Alright, so I'm going to go glue this first maze down, the bigger one, and center it on my white paper. I used texture paper. I really enjoy the simplicity of using texture paper. Like, it adds so much to it without you really having to do anything. What I think is also why I've always really liked the embossing folders is because it's just something that's very simple, but it adds so much and changes so much too. Like, you could make the same card and then just change out the textures, and it changes almost, like the whole look, which is really cool. Card making is a skill, and I'll definitely be working on that this month to try and get that skill elevated. Okay, dokie. So, let's see, flip this here. Before I set this down, I'm going to go ahead and emboss it. So I'm going to scoot all my pieces aside and then put my pin back in here. All right, forgive me if this makes a little bit of noise. I have two things I'm going to warn you about. One, I don't have all the proper tools. So as much as I was looking around and I think don't have the right necessarily like these plastic pieces these are also kind of old, so they're kind of like bowed. So I didn't have the right size because these are too thick if there's two of them, and then to squish it down, and if there's just one, it wasn't thick enough. So what I'm gonna do is set the second one aside over here. So I've got this like the first tray, which is like this very solid block piece, and I've got the folder here. I'm gonna put my piece in, and make sure you have it on the right way up because you don't want to have your embossing the wrong direction. So yep, this is correct. I'm gonna put it on here. This embossing folder, by the way, I think it was just off of Amazon or Joann's. I don't know what it's called, but it was just like small dots, and I really like the small dots, especially for something with like little detail here, because that way you can see it almost everywhere. Okay, so I've got this here, and then actually I'm putting this one here. Again, I'm not doing this right, so card makers, don't come at me. I'm doing the best I can. And then I need something just a little thicker. And I had I had watercolor paper because I was trying to watercolor the maze first, and it turned out really bad. It seems like I'm not only not a card maker, but I'm also not quite a watercolor artist either. But I used to. I just kind of lost the skill a little. So I'm going to have to get back to that pretty soon. But anyway, so I went ahead and was going to use this thicker paper, and then another sheet I just folded in half. And these are really thick. Watercolor paper is very thick to absorb that water. So I'm just going to use these, and it worked last time, so wish me luck this time. I'm just going to crank it through. 1, 2, and there we go. All right, I think that worked. Let's hope. It felt like it did. All right, fingers crossed, everyone. It worked! Yay! Okay, so that was my DIY version of that. You can see there's just like a little bit more texture now. Some dots I think are really cute. Oh, I'm glad that worked because we're live. Okay, so great. Now I put this aside. And then I'm going to go ahead and put here. And then I've got this is now ready, and the next thing I'm going to do is get my cubies. And actually first, because I'm going to prep this card up before all the way, I'm going to go ahead and use my copy paper. So I've used textured paper, and I've used smooth cardstock paper for the inside of the card. But I am going to use copy paper because I kind of liked this one better to write on. It just worked better for me. The textured paper kind of like for handwriting. The textured paper made it kind of difficult because of the bumps. And then the smooth paper, I just didn't like the way it looked. So I'm going to stick to copy paper for this one. Here we go. Let's see. And I got a question on YouTube. What machine did we use for the embossing? I used the Spellbinders Platinum. I think I was told that this specific model is, what's it called when they stopped making them? Discontinued. But I know there's a lot of others people use. I've seen a lot of card makers use things similar to this. I think they're usually smaller, but I'm not sure. I think this is kind of like, it looks about the size of a like a copy paper size, like 8.5 by 11 inches wide. But this is the one I'm using right now, but I don't think they make this one anymore specifically. And let's see. Events by Jamie said, everything is a learning process and we should be here to support each other, not criticize. Thank you. I hope everyone's having fun on this one. Let's see. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and these cards are 4.5, I think. Let me see. Yeah, 4.5 by 6.25 in total length and width. And I want to go a little bit smaller than that, so I'm going to do it by hand. A lot of times I use the Cricut for things. I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of spoiled myself that way, but no big deal. I still know how to use a ruler and pen, right? Let's see. So what I'm doing, this is how I measure things out, because in Cricut I use the offset, but for like real life when I'm doing it by hand, I kind of get like I put the paper here corner to corner, and then I scoot it just a little ways away down, and then this is kind of the border size I want. So I'm going to try and like eyeball it to be double that, because it is going to be centered, so it will be scooched in more. About this much. And I'm going to go ahead and mark it. And then I'll cut it about right here. So here and here. Let's see. Let's see. We got Liz, Chris, YZA. These sessions are so great. This is so real life, especially if you're trying something new or a newbie. I love her honesty. I'm so cheering her on. Well, thank you. Yeah, definitely. Again, I will say it. I'm not ashamed. I'm not a card maker. I'm not a pro, but I enjoy all crafts, and I really like learning this, especially because card making is so personal, and I can really appreciate that. This right now, we're doing this in support of Cards for Cubs, which is, the cardathon is next week, but our event runs all the way till March, the end of March. And I love, it's such a beautiful thought. Like, I really do believe in the power of words, and I can appreciate how much time and effort it takes to make cards. So I got my piece here, and let me see, it looks about right. I do see a little mark here, so I'm just going to turn this paper over, and it's nice and clean. So I usually just do one side here, because it's where I'd be writing personally. But so for Cards for Cubs, just FYI, when you make the cards, we ask that your cards don't have like a lot written in it. You can do a small sentiment like, you're the best, or I believe in you, things like that. But for the most part, we keep it blank, so that way a social worker can put something very personal to that kid and their situation in. So just FYI, that's part of our conditions. If you also want to check out the other rules and conditions, again, go to cardsforcubs.org, and we've got card guidelines and all the information you could need. And if you can't find them for any reason, or you're still confused, feel free to message us. We are on Instagram. It's I think it's at Cards for Cubs. There's one more piece too. At the Cards for Cubs. At the Cards for Cubs is on Instagram. On Instagram. On Instacubs. Okay, so now my pieces are cut. Whoop. Let's see. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and start gluing things down. Alright, now this is where I would say this is where I got the trickier, where I had to like think a little bit, because at first I just glued, at first I just did the cubies around here, but I had trouble. I didn't think it through all the way, because that when I put it here and it was elevated, these smaller pieces were still kind of just flapping around. But this is a maze piece, and so this circle here is what's gonna go, and it's very small, but it's what's gonna go back here behind the paper, and is what allows the heart to move around and stay on track. So I couldn't be too floppy, but I couldn't just put cubies everywhere, because then the circle couldn't get around. So this is how I did it. It's very, very tiny work is what I'm going to go do now. So I'm going to get my cubies. I'm going to get the strips, actually, because they're thinner than the cubes. Height-wise, they're the same, but as far as, like, thickness here, you can see, I think they're about half as much. Like a cube versus a strip. So strips are just thinner. I'm going to peel that up. Oh. And make sure I have this correct, because one time I did it upside down. Alright, now I'm going to take, the pieces I really need to be stable are the ends right here. And so I'm going to get my scissors, and I'm just going to cut the ittiest bittiest little piece. So I'm going to try and get smaller. Boop. Oh, I dropped it. I immediately dropped it. It's okay. Alright, and I'm just going to stick this one down. And I'm trying, so I wish it was like this, since the maze, the lines are going on both sides. So just FYI, so it needs to be enough to still circle this way, and this way. So I'm trying to kind of keep it in the center, all around. Have room all around the little cubie here. It's kind of hard to see because it's so tiny. But let me just tell you, personally, I think the end results are worth it. But that's just me. I'm sure there's also lots of other card designs. So I would say card makers are different in that they don't usually use the SVGs. So like I would say these cards that we're making, that we're going to be making, are more for like Cricut users who want to try card making and like kind of transition over. Card making is definitely an art, I will say, for 100% sure. So I'm just going to put this here. So I'm just putting on all the smaller like ends of the maze. Alrighty. So everyone watching, as you watch me make this card, tell me, have you ever gotten a card that really just like made your day, made you feel great, something that you weren't expecting? Because that's, again, what we're doing here for Cards for Cubs. We're going to try and support kids and young adults who are maybe not in the best situation right now, who are having, you know, a really hard time. And we're just trying to support them and be like a place for encouragement and kindness. And that's all that's the goal of Cards for Cubs. All right, so I've got this here. Now I'm going to, just checking. All right, I got all my little pieces there. And now I'm just going to go ahead and go all around the card itself. Dropped a piece. And also, if you guys have questions that you can't think of right now or you think of later, you can, do remember, we also have a chat on Cards for Cubs. So if you ever chatted with Bailey Art, you may have met Chelsea, and she's our wonderful customer service rep. She's got all the answers. So if you have questions, she also helps on Cards for Cubs to answer anyone's questions. So feel free to ask away on the chat on our website, or on the what's it called? Nonprofit website. Okay. All right. Who out there is a Cricut maker, Cricut party decor paper crafter who isn't totally used to cards like me? Because let me tell you, this one, I will say this one's a little tricky because of the maze, but we have a lot of other ones that make it really simple. And so don't be afraid if you're not a card, like you don't, you know, feel like I'm not a card maker, I can't really do anything for these kids. Yes, you can, because you, if you're like, I just use Cricut and stuff, that's okay. We have plenty of SVGs to help you out. It's really more about doing something really kind and being there for people, even if we don't know them, if we've never met them. That's the way of the world, right? We're just trying to make something and do something kind for others. That's almost, I feel like, what it means to be a crafter, is to just send love through our creations, whether that's to people we know, customers, friends and family, people we met online, our own friends and family, or, you know, complete strangers. Okay, I'm going to go ahead, center this, and hope I stick everything correctly down. Boop, boop. Ta-da! Okay, so this is what we have so far. Man, I do love embossing. Okay. So for this card, I am going to have it sideways. And this size of our card right now, again, the card guidelines are on the cardsforcubs.org website. But just FYI, this is the kind of sizing we're sticking to. I think it's like A6, A7, and A2 card sizings. Mostly it's just because we don't really want to have like really big cards and really small cards that it just like it's more for organization here, so we can make sure everyone gets the right amount of cards. If you have really big ones and then the really big cards, like whole sheets of paper cards, and then some that are very small, it's a little more difficult to find the right shipping and things. But so I think that's like the right sizes is A6, A7, and A2s. Not that they have to be exactly those. Like if you're off just a little bit, we're not gonna throw your cards out or anything. But those are just kind of our recommendations and general sizing. Bam. Okay, so I went ahead and glued all that. I'm just gonna set it down here on the center of our card. Perfect. All right, so we only have a few more pieces left, and then we are good to go. So this is a fairly simple card, even though I had like the trickier QBs. It wasn't really that tricky, right, guys? We could do it. We can make cards. But this is we got that one down. It's almost done. So let me just gonna finish these pieces up. Right now, all we have left is this thin strip here, a heart, a circle, and these two smaller pieces. And I'm done using my cubies for today. I think everything else... Oh, just kidding. I have one more piece of my cubies. I'm going to use on my heart. But for everything else, I think I'm good. It's all about the design, which I love. Also, by the way, if you are a card maker and you want to watch our live, the Cardathon live, next Saturday on the 25th, it's 12 to 4 CST, because we're in Texas. And we're going to have a couple of amazing card makers on there. They're going to be able to show you some really cool... They're the pros, right? I'm just here doing my best, but they're the pros. So definitely check that out. And if you're not a card maker, check it out anyway and learn how to, learn something new about card making, because I am super excited to learn all about it. This month, rest of February and the rest of March, that's what my focus is cards. Squiggle, squiggle, squiggle. Alrighty. I'm going to set this right here. Oops, set this right here. And, alright. One more piece there. Alright, this live is just about over, but thank you guys for joining me. Oh wait, I forgot this one thing. It's okay. It's not too late for me. So this little white piece here, that's where I was going to write something. So I'm going to just go ahead and write it. It's a little lumpy now, but it's okay. I'm going to put, "You are amazing." Let's see if I can get my handwriting nice. Are amazing. Exclamation point, exclamation point. Ta-da! So that's the card. I think it's the amazing card that download on our website. Usually I use Cricut to write my things, but again, if we're going hands right now, handmade, I'm trying more to work on the little things that matter. Okay, so now all I have left are these two pieces. It's a little circle and a little heart. I'm going to use a tiny cubie to connect these so I can maneuver it through the maze. So where did my pieces go? Oh, I'm going to use this piece. Tiny, tiny, tiny. All right. And squish it down for that extra stability. It really needs to get stuck. Once you stick them down, they're really good. They're quality stickiness. So I definitely want it to be, because this is a moving piece. All right, I'm going to center it. It's a little hard to tell because it's so small over here. But I'm trying to center it on here. All right, I'm going to squish it down. And now I should be able to put it in my card. I'm just going to slide, so it's the circle that goes in, and then you're just kind of sliding it in. There, twist it, and there we go. See, isn't it so cute? It's amazing. So you just kind of move it back. It's hard to grab with my hands. There we go. You just kind of maneuver it through. Shing, shing, ta-da! And now all I'm going to do, I forgot the last piece, of course, is where someone else could write some nice, kind words in here. I'm going to use my Bailey glue for this too. I don't know about you guys, but like regular glue, for me, especially like thin paper, like copy paper, is kind of wavy. So I'm going to use Bailey glue for this one for sure. Especially with that thinner copy paper. Alrighty. Stick it in here, and you know what? We have our first card for Cards for Cubs of 2023. Our goal is 100,000 cards to send out. So please help us, join us in that goal. You are amazing, and I appreciate you guys so much for joining me on this live. I know it's a little short today, but I guess it's probably perfect if you're taking that lunch break at work and you just wanted to watch a little something. Remember to check out our website, or the cardsforcubs.org website, with all the information that you could need: card guidelines, mailing addresses, dates and times and things. And then we are super excited for this month to come. So thanks, you guys. Have a good one. And as we say, bye-bye.